Welcome to Sacred Magic. Vialet is on a quest to bring sacredness back into our everyday experiences. Anyone can have an extraordinary life when they are able to tap into their sacred magic within. Vialet and her guests will be sharing their divine passions, inspirations, and stories of connecting with their sacred magic. We are so happy you have joined us today. Let's get started with your host, the magical creator of Discover Your Spiritual Gifts, Vialet Rayne.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sacred Magic Podcast. I'm your host, Vialet Rayne. My guest today is Sarah. Sarah combines her gifts as a psychic medium, angel channel, and training as a mental health therapist with a master's in social work to provide holistic, integrative, intuitive readings, coaching, psychic development programs. Sarah guides her clients in up-leveling their spiritual connection by teaching her unique intuitive development course and providing professional one-on-one intuitive development training. As an intuitive coach, she uses her intuitive abilities and mental health training to help clients remove blocks to achieve goals, cope with challenging life experiences, and break negative beliefs and behavioral patterning. Welcome, Sarah, to the show. We're so happy to have you on here.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
So share with us a little bit for those listening. How did you land in doing this type of work? Have you always been connected, or is this something that's happened along your journey?
So I feel like this path landed on me. I wasn't connected. I always connected until I realized I was when I was like 20 in my 20s. I had a dream that my best friend from high school had passed away, and it was very detailed and disturbing, and she actually did pass away a year and a half later. And so that's when I knew I was psychic, but I kind of ignored it, didn't really pay attention to it because I didn't know what to do with it. I was like, you know, I was just having dreams every now and again. But then my dreams became more intense and disturbing. And so finally, when I was in my 30s, I was working with, I was a therapist, a mental health therapist, and I just felt like I didn't quite fit. I knew I wanted to help people, but I just felt stuck and it just didn't feel 100% right. And then in a synchronistic way, I met my psychic development teacher. And at that point, when I met her, I was like, well, again, like, what's the point? I'm not going to give readings for my profession. But when I had these dreams, I knew I needed to hone my gifts, and I didn't know what that was going to look like. So when I worked with her, all my gifts exploded really quickly. And I was able to then give readings as a psychic medium. And I started seeing angels and communicating with angels. And then I channeled angels and added that to my reading offerings. And then I was really inspired to teach because, there's this big shift going on in the world where people are stepping into their intuition, but they don't know what to do with it. Like, more and more people are awakening and they're curious, or they, like me, they don't know what to do. And so some of these people, it's their intuition development is meant to deepen their spiritual practice and help them feel less alone so that they can connect. And then for others, it's becoming professional readers. So that kind of developed as I was working with clients and kind of channeling my own curriculum and using my teacher's curriculum with her permission. So now I'm in my 40s, and so it's been it's been a journey. But I always say that I wouldn't have necessarily chosen this because I didn't know that it existed.
I can understand that, it's, let's say it's more seen today than it ever has. Last week I was in a Barnes and Noble and the stuff's everywhere. Magic this, tarot this, oracle this, you kind of see it. Whereas I think when I was younger, this wasn't prominent. You didn't go into a store and see it on a shelf. You didn't have people talking about it. So you didn't even understand that that was even a thing. And I think with my parents and grandparents, it definitely wasn't something that was on their radar. I know there were
Mm-hmm.
people out there practicing, but they more or less practiced in quiet or with their families, or not openly in the public wasn't understood. And I think it's getting more and more out there. And I agree with you. I think more people are awakening of, what is this? Why do I have these dreams? What's happening to me? What is this feeling I keep feeling? Or why do I keep seeing things from the corner of my eye? What does this mean? And so I think we're all awakening. I don't necessarily believe all of us are going to be professionals in this field. I think
Right.
we can use it in nursing. We can use it as doctors. We can use it as attorneys. We can use it as a painter that paints a room. I mean, your gifts are help you to kind of navigate this world. And once you understand that they are gifts, because some of us feel like it's not a gift, right? In the beginning, it's scary.
Yeah,
I'm sure you were terrified having dreams and so deep and so with people that you love, that it had to be hard. Like, why do I know this type of thing? Right?
exactly. Yeah. And it was like, why am I tapping into people's trauma? Like I was dreaming about other people's trauma and other people's passing away. And one positive thing was I did connect with a cousin who had died of cancer, um, just spontaneously, and that was like a positive experience. But overall, yeah, it was really scary, and
Yeah.
it was confusing.
Yeah, I bet. I
Hmm.
bet for lots of people out there, it can be very frightening and scary. So talk to us a little bit about angels. What are
Hmm.
angels? How do you connect with them? How can you work with them? Share your perspective and your experiences around angels, because I love working with angels too. And I love hearing everyone's perspective and how they work with them.
Yes. So first of all, angels are divine beings, but I say that like I don't see them attached to any religion.
Mhm.
Um, but I would say like they're celestial beings that are here to help us be humans because being human is incredibly hard, even if your life is extremely blessed and charmed. Um, and so they're here to assist us, but they give us the ability to have free will. So you might be calling out to the angels for help and not realizing it, which is what happened to me. And so I actually started seeing angels as little tiny sparks of light, and I didn't know that's what they were until I started to get more angel signs. So I um, I was sitting by a riverbank and I heard pick up a heart-shaped rock because pick up a heart-shaped rock. And so I look down and look down and you'll find a heart-shaped rock. So I looked down and I found a heart-shaped rock. And then more and more of those experiences started to happen, like amazing experiences. Another one was I was listening to the Pandora station, a classical station on Pandora, and I saw little sparks of light, and I said, "If your angels play a specific song," and they did. The next song came on was the song that I had asked for, and then I said, "If your angels," because I was skeptical at the time, I didn't fully trust myself, and so I said, "If your angels play my favorite song going home on the radio," and I was driving home and then the song that I was asking for came on. I forgot about it. I turned the radio on and there it was. And so I just kept getting signs like that. I heard a clicking sound from my ceiling and I looked up and a big fluffy white feather fell down from my ceiling. And I knew at the time that sending white feathers was an angel sign. And I was just like, oh my God, like this is not something I can deny or I can write off. Um, And then we have angel numbers, where angels communicate through, if you keep seeing repetitive number patterns, like looking at a license plate, you keep seeing the same number, looking at the clock, the same number appears, and so on. That is the angels communicating as well. So I learned about these signs and then was able to receive them and understand the meaning. And then angels, so they're showing people more and more of these signs, and people don't necessarily recognize them. And during my readings, the angels will just always give me healing messages for the clients, like throughout, or they'll show me things that I need to know about the client to help them heal or answer their questions, provide clarity. And I hear them through my mental voice. Another reason why people don't recognize the angels are talking to them, because you often hear them in your own mental voice. It's just coming from a different source. It's not coming from your imagination or your own thoughts. So anybody can connect to the angels, and that's what I like to teach. Like, channeling is easier than people might think, as long as they get out of the way.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned a couple of things that I want to just say again, because I think it's important. Number one, we have free will, free choice. Angels won't choose for you. So if somebody comes and you go do a reading, you say, should I stay with this person, or should I take this job? Spirit typically is not going to tell you what to do, because there is no right or wrong answer. It's about you choosing a choice. So when you want to work with angels, first of all, you have to ask for help. They're never going to step in without permission from you, because you have choice and free will. They do talk to us with numbers. They'll drop
Someone
coins.
just knocked on my, I'm so sorry. Someone just knocked on my door. Hi, I'm actually in a meeting right now. I'm so sorry. Okay. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. It's okay.
It's a maintenance person. I was having trouble with my dishwasher. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But we're all good.
It's a good thing, because I can go back and edit this. So we'll pause
Okay,
for
I'm
just a
so
minute.
sorry.
No, it's okay. So I'd like to talk about a few things that Sarah's mentioned, because I think they're important points to know. Number one, we have free will, free choice. Angels aren't going to step in and make choices for you. So if you go to someone and ask them a specific question, like, should I do this? Typically, angels or divine beings or your guides, your loved ones, whatever that is going to say you have many choices. There's no right or wrong choice. It's just which one what experience would you like to have right now? Because it is all an experience. The other thing with free will, free choice is you have to ask angels for help. You have to ask them to assist you. You have to ask them to guide you, because they're there to support us, not there to live our lives through us. And they love us unconditionally. No matter what choice you choose, they continue to love you unconditionally. And angels do speak to us. If you're seeing numbers or feathers or finding coins around, they will speak to you in many different ways. And if they know you're really listening, in other words, if you're like, okay, angels speak to me in numbers, and I just saw 1, 2, 3 three times, and you go to look up that message, if they know you're getting those messages and you're going to look them up, guess what? They're going to give you more of them, because they're like, cool, Sarah's got this. She's now hearing us. So we're going to give her more numbers that are going to come across in her experience, so that we can speak to her more. Imagine supporting someone that you dearly love and you really want to talk to them, but they're not hearing you, they're not noticing. And when they finally notice, or they're finally listening, think about how excited you would be and how much more you would want to communicate with them. And so that's really what happens, is when we start paying attention to that and we just don't shrug it off. And Sarah's also right. A lot of times spirit whomever is speaking to you will speak to you in your voice. And you just think, oh, I'm just making that up. That's not real. That's just crazy talk. Well, the clue is the voice talking about something that you're looking at or focusing on right at this moment? Is that the thought you're having? Or is it something outside? Or is it an answer you've been searching for? Is it guidance on a better way to do something? Because they will share that with you if you ask them. And a lot of times it does come in your voice. That's why most people discard it of, oh, I'm just constantly talking to myself. There's constantly conversations going on in my head. Well, they're trying to get your attention, right? And we have so many distractions in our lives today. So I love that. So do you have certain angels, Sarah, that you work with more often? Do you find there are certain ones that you gravitate towards?
Well, I consider the angels to be like a collective consciousness. So I feel like I'm talking to the angels. But I do have archangels that appear to me. And the reason why I know that they're archangels is because they show themselves to me in different color light rays. And so one that comes to me often is Archangel Raphael, and that's the angel of physical healing, emotional healing, and healer of healers.
Uh-huh.
And so then I often see Archangel Uriel, the angel of wisdom. So especially when I'm working with my clients, if I see that a client needs physical healing, Archangel Raphael will show up on their body part that needs healing, or just showing me that they need emotional we all could benefit from that. And so Archangel Uriel is the angel of wisdom. And so oftentimes when I think a thought that's wise, of course, um, he'll pop up. And I'm using gender pronouns, but actually I find that angels don't have a gender. There's masculine and feminine within. It's just the names that, that we were taught, as an aside. So I also see Archangel Shamuel, the angel of love. And then I know that I talked to Archangel Michael, because Archangel Michael is the angel of protection and clearing, very important. And so there are other archangels that I connect to as well, but they just kind of showed themselves to me.
I love that. I love that. I love working with the angels too. And understanding Sarah's right. I don't see them attached to any specific religion, but they've showed up in religious texts of being noticed or people working with them, but they're not attached to any belief system. They're here to support and love all of us, right? And to
Hmm.
be with us. They're here to kind of help us on our journey, which I absolutely love. You also like to help people connect to deceased loved ones.
Yes.
Share a little bit about that with us.
I find that to be so healing, because knowing that you can connect to a deceased loved one, I mean, it doesn't take the pain away that they're gone, and you still have to go through the grief and loss process. I mean, they're gone physically, but they're not gone energetically. They still stay with us, and you can still have relationships with them. So I really, really love relaying messages to those who are grieving the loss of a loved one, helping them understand signs. Just like angels, deceased loved ones share signs that they're connecting with you as well. So helping the client identify what those signs are. And then oftentimes you can resolve conflicts with these readings, because the spirit will explain why they behaved in the way they did, to kind of tying up loose ends. Um, and it's how it works for me is that someone will tell me who they want to connect with, and then I will establish details like that, that only my client would know. So just I see the spirit in my mind's eye, or I just hear the spirit, or the spirit shows me these details. For example, I gave a reading for someone whose mother-in-law collected bells, and so I saw bells, and so that's one of the ways that my client was able to trust that I was connecting to this particular spirit. And so they will come in and they will give healing messages just like the angels do. They'll help my clients work through challenges, provide clarity. It's like there's someone else on the team, or there's a partnership that I'm working with these deceased loved ones. It includes animals as well, like people who have lost their animal companions, and even people that there may not have been a deep connection with in life. Those deceased loved ones will still be there.
I like that because I think sometimes I have found in my work, it could be a great grandmother or a great grandfather that you never met, you never had a
Mm-hmm.
relationship with, but you may have similarities to them, or you might be having experiences that they can relate to, or they're just connected to you and they walk with you through this journey, loving and
Mm-hmm.
supporting you as that grandchild. Have you found with some of your clients that forgiveness can be hard? Because you talked about unfinished business. A lot of times we've had a difficult relationship with someone and they've passed, and we really don't want to connect with them. We're really kind of done with the whole relationship. And when spirit gets to the other side, I think they get a little bit more of an understanding of how their behaviors, what they did, how it affected you, how it hurt you. And they're trying to, kind of heal some of that. But yet the person that's in the physical really doesn't want to even talk about it or go there. Have you found that in some of your clients?
Yes, I also respect that some clients don't even want to connect,
Mhm.
and they don't want to hear from the spirit, and that's okay. That's totally okay, because again, it's all about free will, and I believe, the spirit will help the clients maybe through other indirect ways, if but most of clients are really open to hearing from people who are even abusive in life, and it is super healing for that person, let's say who is physically abusive, to say, um, my parents physically abused me, like this is what happened, um, like this is the reason why I got addicted to alcohol. Alcoholism runs in the family, blah blah blah, and I'm sorry. I like what you were saying. Spirits get to have more clarity when they reach the other side, but I also feel like they release their egos. Um, there is a sense of, except for love. I mean, love is beyond ego, and so I believe that kind of remorse and saying I'm sorry comes from love, but they don't have anger. I believe that they don't have a sense of sadness when they fully cross over. So, um, the client, my clients often have, questions, especially in the case of like a suicide. Why did I do that? Was I not enough? Um, and so we're able to get answers for really, really difficult situations like that as well.
Well, and I feel like sometimes when somebody commits suicide, they're not thinking about this person loves me and they're going to miss me. They're thinking more
Hmm.
about the pain or the wounds that they're going through. And, the big thing that I've learned is forgiveness is not acceptance. When we forgive someone, it doesn't mean
Yeah.
that we accepted what happened or what they did or the actions that they took. But forgiveness releases the chains and the holds that we have in this lifetime so that we can feel a little freer, that we can start healing that and letting that go. It doesn't mean it was okay. It just means that forgiveness allows us to start that healing process. So we're not carrying those chains, those weights, all of those
Hmm.
burdens with us. We're letting it go. Right. And releasing it. So I love that. So you also love to show people different ways that they connect to their intuition. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so we all have clairs. So most people have heard of being clairvoyant. There's also so clairvoyance is kind of like for I am. I see it's like into people's lives like a movie in my mind, but I see past, present, and future. Sometimes people have psychic dreams. That's clairvoyant, or they just have visions of things happening that do end up happening. Clairaudience, I think that most people are clairaudient. That's when you hear psychic information. But again, most of the time people don't realize it because they're hearing it in their own mental voice. And people expect to hear it from like a disembodied voice. And that's not always the case. Then there's clairsentient, and we all are clairsentient because clairsentient is feeling psychic information. So it's like when we talk about having those gut feelings, that feeling in our stomach that we know, this is the right choice, the wrong choice, or things like that. And then there's clairsalient, which is people receiving psychic information through smell. So that's a little more rare. I receive psychic information through smell when I'm connecting to a deceased loved one. I might smell perfume, or one time I smelled cinnamon buns, as the woman who passed loved to cook cinnamon buns. And then there's clairgustance, which is receiving psychic information through taste. I don't know anyone who's experienced that before. You might get a taste in your mouth, then guides you into receiving any psychic information. I think I covered all of those. So some people have more than one of these. Some people just have one. But again, I kind of believe that each person at least is clairsentient. We all have those gut feelings. It's just about being able to identify what ways that you're having those experiences.
I think the key is awareness, being very aware of sensations within your body. I knew a practitioner once that tasted angels. So think about that. So hers was taste, and there were different tastes for different angels, and she worked with the angelic realm. But I've also had taste. Have you ever sat around and thought about your favorite pie that your grandmother made, or a favorite meal that your mom made that you loved? And if you really kind of tune into that, you can taste it. That's kind of developing that sense, so that those are memories that come in, that if they've passed, that you're like, oh, I can really taste what that tastes like. I think it can come in that way too. So it's really about awareness and starting to acknowledge that awareness, so that spirit, what I call my divine team, know that I'm getting what they're sending to me, or I'm receiving what's being sent. So then they know, oh, she's got it. She's understood. Because some people are like, they don't believe it, right? I don't believe that they're talking to me that way. So we keep asking, which I think is fine. But I think at some point I always like to pause and say, okay, I see the rose. The rose means to me, blah, 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 blah. If that's what you're trying to, is that the message you're trying to give me, then I've got it. If that's not the correct message, then they will try another way to keep communicating it. It's not like you're going to miss a message as long as you're aware and paying attention to what's happening. They will keep trying different ways to find a way for you to get that message. We just have to understand how messages come in, because energetically we're in different places, right? Different energy frequencies. So we got to connect kind of in the middle.
Exactly.
Right. So Sarah, share with us a little bit about some of the things that you offer to clients or students that people can connect in and check out.
Well, I have a new offering, which is an online self-guided mini course called Remove Blocks to Your Intuition and Deepen Your Connection with Spirit, where my clients will learn practical tools to develop their intuition and learn how to channel the angels. This is at a beginner's level, and you can find that course on my website. I also offer a course called Introduction to Intuitive Development, and that's a 10-week online course that's live on Zoom, where you'll start basically by the end of it, you'll we cover so much in that. It's basically like a crash course, and by the end you'll be able to channel spirit really clearly and on demand and be able to give readings. And it's really meant to provide a guidance framework for people who were like me. I want to develop my gifts, and like you said, it could be for whatever reason they want to. It enhances their career, it enhances their lives, accessing their intuition on demand. And so we walk through psychic development exercises. We read photographs to connect with people who have passed away and people who are alive. We do things like meditation and clearing the chakras, lots of really awesome activities, take turns reading each other. It's a safe container where people feel a sense of community with other like-minded people. Sometimes people feel alone. And then from there, I offer intermediate courses. And then with the one-to-one offerings, people come to me who want more of like a tailored plan that's specific to them. And so so what I do is I take them through the similar lessons from my regular course, but then we also have time to practice giving full-length readings for people I know that will join the Zoom sessions, and then I will coach them during the readings. And then they could, by the end of it, feel comfortable enough to give like hour-long readings if they wanted to, or again, just using it for their own lives. And then I offer intuitive coaching. So since I was a mental health therapist and I have these abilities, intuitive abilities, I basically provide ongoing coaching like we talked about in the beginning. And I offer packages to make it more cost effective. And so sometimes it's like a reading and like coping skills and discovering like self-love and self-empowerment. All through my knowledge as a therapist, and again, all my intuitive gifts. And then I give people one-time readings. So if you just want a reading, then you'll come to me with any question or intention. If you want to connect to a deceased loved one, we'll take care of that as well.
I love that. I love that. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with me this morning and to share your gifts and your perspective with us. I really do appreciate you doing that with me this morning.
Thank you. I really appreciate it and feel very honored to be here.
Awesome. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you'll tune in, comment, follow us on your favorite channel, and stay connected with us. I wish you a sacred and magical week, and I look forward to seeing you really soon.